All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mr. Van Gelder, and today we will be beginning our unit on Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist or El Alquimista. For today's introduction, we are going to get familiar with the text, why it is important, and what we will be using it to study. By the end of today, I hope that you all have a better understanding of the significance of the text. You will be able to define what an allegory is and how that is applicable to Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist. To begin, Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist deals a lot with the growth mindset, or the ability to grow and try new and challenging things, even within the face of adversity. This can be exemplified through the children's story El Punto, or The Dot. The Dot is a story about a young artist who has a very difficult time getting going and finding the direction in which she chooses to take her pieces. These pieces, however, wind up being a source of inspiration for those around her after she is able to overcome her initial hurdle. After we watch this video, we will discuss the similarities between The Dot and Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist, again, the text in which we will be studying. Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist deals a lot with the growth mindset, and this is a great parallel of that idea. So without further ado, The Dot. I'm going to pause my instruction. At this point, we would have the students watch The Dot in Spanish, presumably their native tongue, at least in the demographic that I work with primarily. From there, we can discuss where we see growth coming into play, what challenges were overcome, and the methods or the people that were in place to help the student out. From there, we move into discussing why we study the alchemists, and we will resume our lecture here. Okay, that was a great discussion, everybody. Thank you so much for your time and your thoughts that you were able to bring during the class discussion here. Now, we will discuss why we are studying The Alchemist. The Alchemist is a worldwide best-selling novel by Paulo Coelho that was published in 1958. While we can use this text for a lot of different things, we will be using this text to understand what an allegory is, as well as to work on studying and analyzing literature. The Alchemist has sold over 150 million copies worldwide. Now, you may be wondering, oh, worldwide, a lot of people read English. That's not necessarily true. While it is one of only 9 books in the world that has sold more than 100 million copies during its publication, one of the reasons that it is so popular is because the book has been translated into 80 different languages. It is one of the most accessible texts that we can use for our studies during this time, and this is the reason, aside from it being a great story, as to why I've chosen it for our class today. It is one of the 5 most translated texts in the world, and then what you guys will notice is while we are going through and studying this material, I will have both Spanish and English copies of The Alchemist available. I encourage you all to do your best with the English versions. However, if you find yourself being stuck, need help with a word or a particular passage, you are always welcome to use the Spanish text that is available in this classroom. I have several copies, and you are always more than welcome to use them. I even encourage it as often as you need. The Alchemist has spent over 300 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list. This is just a great statistic in general, just to add to the validity of the text itself. We have several celebrities who have endorsed The Alchemist throughout since its publication in 1958. And using this text will help us to connect with others around us. We have LeBron James asking folks to give him a Q&A. And we have Chris Williamson asking what is his favorite book. LeBron answers The Alchemist. Paulo Coelho, the author of the novel, responds with thank you very much for sharing. Again, very flattering to have King James himself be advocating for your work. We also had Kobe Bryant message Paulo Coelho mentioning how much he enjoyed the text. If you guys are fans of sports, basketball specifically, hopefully this gets you a little bit more invested. So the Alchemist is an extended metaphor or an allegory. Now, my question to you all is, I would like you to take a couple of moments here, turn to talk to the people around you. Have you ever heard of the word allegory? Yes or no is perfectly acceptable here. If you have heard of the word allegory, my question to you becomes, what is an allegory? Why don't you take a couple minutes to talk to the folks around you and see what you can do to come up with a good working definition of an allegory. At this point, we're going to pause. Students would turn and talk amongst themselves. They are welcome to use some outside sources, such as the internet, generative AI in this instance, to come up with a good working definition. If they have the knowledge off the top of their heads, that is fantastic. If not, as long as the instruction and the information makes sense to them, that is the primary goal here. So we'll come back. Okay, cool. Thank you guys very much for talking amongst yourselves here. So we have understood after a short class discussion that an allegory can be a story, poem, or picture that can be interpreted or read to be understood to reveal a hidden meaning or truth about life, politics, the difference between right and wrong, society, or humanity. My absolute favorite allegory comes in the form of a video. This video is called Nuggets, and we're going to watch this short clip. It takes about 3 to 4 minutes, something around there. After this, I'm going to ask you guys, what do you think this video is an allegory for? Or what could be the deeper meaning or message that is attempting to be conveyed? Pause the instruction. We watch the video. If you guys have not seen Nuggets, fantastic use of 4 minutes to help students understand an allegory. I don't have the time to show it to you today, but I can strongly recommend it. It's fantastic. So we watch Nuggets. We come back on the other side here. Come on, Nuggets. Okay. Well, we will just have to pause on that. We'll go back to our allegory slide. So the students are generally able to understand that this is an allegory for some form of addiction, whatever form that may take. So we move into the lecture describing, hey, the allegory that is present in The Alchemist is going to be an allegory for personal growth and self-discovery. We ask students to keep this in mind as they are working through their reading and their study here. Now, this is a very advanced level language learner class. The scaffolds that we have put in place to make this successful for our multi-language learner students or our ESL students is going to be the availability of the translated text. It is also going to be the support that can come in forms of one-on-one classroom instruction or feedback. That's me walking around, checking in with students, asking, hey, did you get through the passage? Did you understand? Do you have questions? There's also a lot of personal connections that can be drawn here. The key component is self-discovery, personal growth, and understanding what an allegory is in, I would say, literature, but it's pretty applicable in various mediums at this point: movies, TV shows, books, even video games. So that is my introductory unit, or my introductory lesson rather, for allegories in Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist. Thank you all so much for your time today. I appreciate it, and if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. Thank you.